What's going on, everyone? This is City Wrestling Radio, and this is the B Show. I'm your host, Corey Smith. I'm joined via Zoom, chat, internet, phone call with the co-host of the B Show, Mr. Michael Vergara. How are you today, sir?
Hello. Just being what I've been doing for the past 3 months now. 3 months.
And if you're unfamiliar with the B Show, because we are relatively new to the YouTube scene, I believe. If you're unfamiliar, we talk about AEW, NXT, and all the happenings in the world of professional wrestling in the past week, because there's a lot of crap that happened.
Or midweek,
or midweek. Things that happened within the last week, within the last 7 days of the last show. Right?
Yeah.
But guys, stay tuned for all of that. And before we get into all that, I need to tell you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe at CWR415, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It's the best way to stay up to date with City Wrestling Radio and all of our cool stuff that we post on Instagram, because I don't let people forget about nostalgia, Michael.
It's the new hot thing now, nostalgia. We always got to try to capitalize on what came before us, especially in wrestling.
Isn't nostalgia being the new hot thing kind of an oxymoron? I don't know. Whoa, man, I just blew my mind. But guys, like I said, Instagram, we post a lot of cool stuff on there, including when there is wrestling shows, we post pictures from the wrestling shows we go to.
Oh, yeah, when there are wrestling shows.
That'll happen again soon. God, I was just thinking the other day, I can't wait to just slap a big sweaty guy on the back and be like, that's too much.
You think we would have gotten AEW shows at this point?
No, probably not. They probably would have
They
probably would have went back and up and down the East Coast still.
You think so? Wasn't the whole goal of the summer was California, or at least around that area? We're gonna do Los Angeles. Oh, we're gonna do Sacramento. If they did Sacramento, would you go?
Yeah. Always. Yeah. That's a nice.
Can we do Sacramento? How will we get there?
I have a car.
Oh, that's true.
That is true.
Oh, automobiles.
And we also on Instagram post things like I said, nostalgia, news, breaking news when it happens, and like I said, other cool stuff. So guys, at CWR415, it's right down.
How do you spell that?
It's down there. I mean, somewhere. I'm pointing down there. If you're watching on YouTube.
Oh, it's right there.
So like I said, this is the B Show. We're NXT, AEW Dynamite. We're here every week. If you're on SoundCloud.com, audio only, every Thursday, you get to hear us a day early because you've been a loyal City Wrestling Radio fan. You've been with us since the very beginning. All our fans in
that's what that means.
In Ireland.
That's why we have these up a day early.
Well, not limited resources, not that at all. But guys, like I said, and every Friday on youtube.com/whatever the random URL they gave us. But shall we get into it? Shall we get into some news? Shall we get into a bunch of stuff that
sure.
Stuff that I think we should talk about just a little bit, because it happened last week and it was one of the most unfortunate things we heard, and one of the saddest things I've heard.
I mean, it was it was very much the most unfortunate, but it was also just a pile on, you know what I mean?
Yeah. This past Friday, Hana Kimura passed away at the age of 22 years old.
Jeez, man. And then when they showed that graphic of 97 to 2020, it's like, man, 97 is not a long time ago. It was 22 years ago, but then I'm only a little bit older than Hana Kimura, but then just that idea, somebody being born that year and then someone, passing away at that
being born after you and dying before you,
Yeah, it's such tragic circumstances too.
Probably one of the most charismatic stars in the Stardom promotion. They were actually planning to build the kind of future of Stardom around Hana Kimura
and Julia, they were going to be the 1-2 punch.
But Hana Kimura actually passed away due to suicide, which is, like I said, it's just,
it's never an easy subject. And
a week before, we're not going to sit here and compare what was sadder or anything, but it's when you hear about someone taking their own life due to online cyberbullying, such as Hana Kimura, it really strikes a chord in anyone who's ever, been depressed, you know what I mean? Because I think we've all been to that point where we're so sad that we don't know what to do. But Hana Kimura, like I said, faced so much cyberbullying.
Yeah, and so the background in the context of said cyberbullying was that she was a member of the reality television show Terrace House, which is on Netflix. It's a very, very popular show.
Have you ever watched the show before?
I watched a couple of episodes. It's
you knew Hana Kimura was in it, or was she?
I didn't watch the ones with Hana Kimura in it actually. Okay. Apparently, that was the ones with Hana Kimura. Like there was such a different change of tone in that show where they compile a bunch of young, attractive Asian teenagers, some Japanese, some half Japanese, and some, a little bit of here and there. Yeah. And they put them in a house, and I think they give them internet access. I don't think it's at the level of Big Brother, but then they have panelists who watch, their things and give their insights of any situation. And so in the case of Hana Kimura, there was, from what I have recently listened to, was that there was a moment in that show where there was this one guy named Kai. Kai, and then he meant well. No, he meant well, and so he did laundry for a lot of the guests. And one of the things that he did was wash Hana Kimura's personalized ring gear
that she wore to the Wrestle Kingdom match this past year in the Stardom when they were wrestling in the pre-show match.
And so what he ostensibly did was just ruined the gear, and that got Hana Kimura into she just pretty much just cut a promo on the guy. She was
she
super pissed. Right? She slapped his hat off.
Okay.
So and then there were people who watched the show saying that it was the way it was edited and the way the panel the show panelists were kind of framing the situation as severely unfavorable to her. And she was definitely not perfect. It was a reaction of a very, it was an intense situation.
Right.
And so, and the guy that she was, cutting the promo on, he was seen as a very sympathetic figure. And then she was, pretty much painted as a heel in the context of this situation. And so what happened was that the fans of the show, Terrace House, and a subset, it was more like a silent, not a silent, a very loud minority.
Minority, yeah.
How cyberbullying works, where it's just they just amplify awfulness to an
but this shit happens with every reality show, man.
Oh no, there's definitely
and I'm not saying to this extent where people but I've seen
it's happened before though.
F this person because I like this person, they're horrible people, and it's fucking TV, man.
It's that's just the nature of reality TV, and I'm not here to say that what happened to Kimura was a sign of weakness, but then it really shows just how depends on how you react to it.
Everyone reacts differently, and
everyone reacts differently. But then it's I said, it's not a sign of weakness, but it's also just the whole machine of it all.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's soulless. It sucks, and it's terrible. And these are, at the end of the day, these are just human beings. And there's there's one thing to and it got me really thinking about criticizing professional wrestler or any entertainer
I'm always careful
of that ilk. Yeah, say, I'm unfavorable of the work that Baron Corbin has done whenever he's involved in a wrestling match.
Yeah,
personal, and when people always
he took that personally. He blocked us on Twitter.
And then when and I'm sure there's a bunch of awful shit that Baron Corbin gets online, but then he uses that. There's definitely an element to him seeing that criticism. When he sees that criticism, he blocks out all criticism. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Where, this person's just being overly negative, and I read a bunch of awful shit, and then somebody says an actual criticism, but I'm going to put that in and I'm not speaking for, and I know I kind of sound like I'm putting words into his mouth, but then you can kind of see where I'm going with this.
Yeah, it's really a fine line between criticism and harassment, Yeah. But people, I guess, what I heard is people were sending her messages you should kill yourself. We're straight up saying you should kill yourself.
Yeah. And everybody now.
And I would never ever say that about anybody. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
let alone my worst enemy. I would never. That's just.
Yeah. And like what Bill and Ted would say, be wonderful to each other.
Yeah, and she did before she passed. She did go on social media.
She made sure that her cat was okay.
Yeah, she wrote nearly 100 nearly 100 opinions every day. I couldn't deny that I was hurt. I'm dead. Thank you for giving me a mother. It was a life I wanted to be loved. Thank you to everyone who supported me. I love it. I'm weak. I'm sorry. I don't want to be alive anymore. It was a life I wanted to be loved. Thank you, everyone. I love you. Bye. And I think that was the one that went along with her cat, right?
I think so.
And that's when I guess officials didn't really notice what was going on until was it Kairi Sane?
It was the afternoon in Florida, and so
noticed
trying
her
to contact everybody. Everybody was asleep in Japan at that point.
She contacted Stardom. They sent someone to her house, and there was a lot of back and forth, I guess, with like people said they talked to her and she's okay. But I guess police arrived there 4 a.m. Saturday morning.
Yeah.
And they found Hana Kimura passed away in her house.
Like her mother found her. I cannot imagine a worse discovery.
Kimura?
Kyoko Kimura, yeah. There's video out there of Kyoko Kimura just with there's videos that that shows footage of Hana Kimura as early as 10 years old. Yeah. And it's in HD. That's the crazy part. And because you never see someone's life recorded in that level of fidelity and see them blossom into Hana Kimura. And they showed glimpses of footage of Kyoko Kimura's retirement match against Hana Kimura. It's a very heavy story, and it's incredibly sad. And cyberbullying is a subject that will continue to be a very relevant issue, especially in today's society.
Yeah, no, like I said, it's really sad. Last night on NXT, I'm just going to mention it now because it's relevant to the situation, is that when Io Shirai comes out to the ring, or not Io Shirai, sorry, comes out to the ring on NXT for her for her tag team match. Morrow mentions, Io Shirai will fight the Twitter troglodytes. But then also
Troglodytes. Yeah.
Troglodytes. I always get the word wrong. But then says, everyone fights that, and let's all be better to each other. And he says, what did he say? He said,
he pretty much just attributed.
He said, rest in power to the Joshi princess Hana Kimura.
Yeah. And Double or Nothing did a tribute. They had a graphic up because this was clearly I think this was a day after that, so they couldn't really prepare anything more than that. Excalibur did a pretty good speech about it.
Yeah, man. I'm not even familiar with Hana Kimura's work. I'll be honest, man.
Oh, dude, I'm by no means an expert at Japanese women's pro wrestling, but whenever I see about it, hear about it, or anybody ever talks about it, she is the one person that gets that stands out than everybody else.
I heard the name Hana Kimura right when I woke up Saturday morning. I was like, Hana Kimura, what happened to Hana Kimura?
Yeah, and it's just it's just so sad because her main goal in being in that Terrace House show was to, get people into professional wrestling.
Yeah.
And so now Terrace House, they have canceled production across the board.
Have they canceled, or they just halted production for?
They canceled it. It's officially canceled.
Okay.
And canceled. And the Japanese government is now I haven't seen anything in regards to what they'll actually do, but they said they're talking about it. They're talking about, what they can do to, further regulate such things. So none of this has to happen again.
Yeah. Well, our condolences, thoughts, prayers goes out to the Kimura family, the friends of Hana Kimura, Kyoko Kimura, like I said, the whole Kimura family, because yeah, man, that was a shitty thing to wake up to, So.
Oh yeah, I think I found out as early as like 8 o'clock that Friday.
Well, I pulled up my 8 p.m.
Yeah, p.m.
Oh, I woke up Saturday morning and I was just like, "What the?"
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I saw your text to us.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, condolences to the Kimura family, friends, and fans of Hana Kimura. Let's move on with some more news. Let's talk about Kairi Sane a second ago. Kairi Sane, unfortunately, suffers a head injury during a match during the WWE Raw tapings. Sane suffered what was believed to be a significant laceration to the head during a WWE Raw tapings this last, I think, Monday night or Monday or Tuesday.
It was Monday. It was yeah.
It was on Monday.
I want to say it was Tuesday because wouldn't they tape?
Yeah.
They would tape Mondays. They would tape Raw and SmackDown, and then Tuesday they'd tape Raw and SmackDown again.
Yeah.
So it'd have to be Tuesday.
The incident happened in a match versus Nia Jax being filmed for next week's Monday Night Raw. The cut happened when Jax threw Sane into the stairs with Sane's head connecting with the corner of the stairs. Fightful.com was first to report on the news, with Dave Meltzer adding, at one point the match was stopped for WWE's medical staff to tend to Sane's wounds.
So it's now, before we jump into our conclusions of the situation, and I think Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer newsletter actually clarified this point, was that, we always, whenever you hear injury and whenever you hear Nia Jax, you automatically assume that she's at fault here. But
I was going to say, whenever you hear injury, you hear Nia Jax.
Well, yeah, I mean, but so in this particular situation, it appears that Nia kind of did an Irish, not an Irish whip, but then she threw her, not throw her, like, how the action of an Irish whip where you just drag them by the arm and then make them run.
Yeah.
So apparently Kairi Sane,
just like everyone you've thrown, people have been thrown into.
Press the circle button.
Exactly.
And so like what happened was according to Dave, that Kairi Sane tumbled mid running, and that's her head. She tried to make sure her head didn't hit the steps, but it did.
Yeah.
And that caused the cut in the back of her head.
Yeah.
And it's an unfortunate situation. I can only imagine how the the Performance Center audience reacted to that, especially in last night's NXT show.
What do we say? We're getting paid to be here. I don't want Vince to get mad at me for the wrong reaction. Yay, Nia!
No, you're not supposed to cheer for Nia.
Yeah. Nia.
So, and
they'll probably see Shotzi going like,
oh no, she'd have her moment the day later, never mind. But yeah, it's an unfortunate situation. Again, another unfortunate situation. Kairi's, they cleaned her up, they patched her, and they finished the match. What in regards to Kairi Sane, like, she has definitely been through the ringer these past weeks, and I wonder, this and the TLC match, and on top of the other injuries, particularly against Nia Jax.
Well, nobody said she was concussed, but
you don't know that though.
Yeah, nobody said. But does Vince just come out and go, oh, well, the report last night was that we have 2 concussions.
But then you can say you weren't concussed, but you could still be possibly still, you might have it like
concussed.
A week later. Yeah.
It's crazy. Well, yeah, it sucks. You hear all this happening with Nia Jax, and then she goes on. That's weird. And then she goes on to go on Twitter, not recently, but in the past, saying how, like, when she said, "Oh, you think what I did to her was no joke," when she actually legit hurt people.
Yeah, that's cheap. It's really cheap. You shouldn't do that. You shouldn't take pride in that. There's no art. I mean, you could, like, if this is the only crutch you have into garnering a heel reaction of, shoot injuring people, like, there's no art form in that. That's just the wrong type of heat. That's cheap. It's cheap and it's trash. But then, I think I don't follow her on Twitter, so I don't know what
she's looking for heat.
I don't know what she's been like, if she's continues to own up to that reputation. I mean, I know that she's not like most girls, but I don't know, man.
I don't know, man. Yeah, it's just, let's see. Nia Jax on Twitter, shall we? Yeah, I don't know. She hasn't said anything.
Because it hasn't happened yet. You can't just
Well, you think sometimes she holds. Sometimes people say stuff. I don't know. She just says, "Yeah, thank you. I'm so great." It's just she retweets a lot of people. Good for her. Anywho's, but Monday Night Raw. What do you think of the new addition of the fans to the audience, Michael?
It added a lot.
Yeah.
I'm not going to deny. It made it feel a little bit more
revitalized Monday Night Raw for you a little bit.
Didn't revitalize the ratings, but it does add a lot. You add the crowd. It's better than no crowd. Absolutely. But the fucking plexiglass though. They only check temperatures. That's the crazy part.
Oh, you mean the hockey plexiglass penalty box for anyone who's a fan?
Yeah, someone's bumping into that. Someone's going to take a bump on those.
Somebody already did.
Did they?
On NXT last night.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean it's the addition to people in the crowd, at least. It was funny though, for Raw you had people like Shotzi Blackheart in the crowd, and a lot of performance center people that they said weren't being used on TV, but I swear to God Matt Riddle was in the crowd, like from the far back.
Yeah, for like a second.
Yeah. So yeah, WWE with a new addition of fans to Monday Night Raw, NXT, and SmackDown.
Standing room only.
Well, no, I heard they got some chairs, but then they took them away.
They have to take them away during commercial breaks, and so they just leave them in there, man. What can you lose? Or just do stools at that point,
So the addition of fans, so they can continue to do somewhat fresh.
It's because it's to show how constantly entertained they are. They're never bored. You never want to sit down because you're just so energized by their own energy.
Yeah. Well, WWE will continue to put on fresh new content during this time of pandemic.
Well, I had zero worries that they wouldn't.
But one
fucking machine that place is.
One person actually condemns all wrestling shows putting shows on right now during this pandemic. And that's the ace, Hiroshi Tanahashi.
Oh, he has made himself he has made himself at the forefront of this sort of sentiment. He fucking spoke at Japan House of Representatives or whatever, a board of government saying, "Hey, wrestling should be the last thing to open."
Is that who he was speaking to? I thought he was speaking to.
He was at some Japanese government thing.
Okay. But in an interview, Tanahashi states wrestling shows should be that are performing during a global pandemic gives the entire industry a bad look. He says,
really?
No, that was just my summation of it. He says to run events in the middle of a pandemic presents the wrong image of professional wrestling to society. The wrestling business is an extremely difficult situation, says Tanahashi. After all, we are athletes in a contact sport and we perform in front of packed crowds. That's a recipe for disaster right there. He says there isn't a governing body for Japanese pro wrestling. As such, we can't necessarily enforce cancellations. That's been the responsibility of each company. But to run events in the middle of a pandemic presents the wrong image of professional wrestling to society and would deal a black eye to the industry that might still remain even after the pandemic ends. He went on to say, I thought it was important for us to come together, understand exactly what's happening, and to do what's right, even if that means returning to action after other sports. Go Ace. He didn't say the last part.
It's
added that.
Morally ethical, very level-headed viewpoint of how you treat this industry during a global pandemic. There's not much I can say about that rather than he's right. He's ultimately right.
He's like the ultimate face here. He's like, you know what? Yeah, I'm the face, so I'm gonna continue being the face. And
to the point where I'm kind of curious what everybody else in New Japan, everyone else in New Japan would think. You think, I want to see what Okada thinks of this. I want to see what Naito thinks of this. I want to see what they would say. But I guess
he's gonna say, "Stay home and tranquilo."
Yeah, that's perfect.
Stay home and tranquilo, everyone.
Yeah, just what is it?
By the way, that was my favorite part of my dad as a heel pro wrestler. Just wanted to add that.
I never saw that still. I still need to see that.
Anyways. So Tanahashi, the ultimate face in this time where wrestling shows, I guess, They're getting called out too, I think, by a lot of other shows. I saw something on sportsillustrated.com, even the weekly show with John Oliver.
Last week tonight.
Yeah. That show with John Oliver. I just called it John Oliver show.
I just told you the name of that show.
And I already forgot it. I'm kidding. Last week tonight, right?
Yeah.
So he kind of called out wrestling and for being one of the sports to continue to do shows in a time of pandemic. What do you think, Michael? Like should wrestling continue?
It's sometimes I feel like with not unlike a company like WWE, because like WWE and AEW, it's just that I'm not really that much into the weeds of into the corporate weeds of how they run their business, but to my just intuition, their main source of income is their television deals, and if they have to fulfill that deal of putting X amount of live shows within a year. I can see their hands being tied about it, but I'll
say this: how many wrestlers have really come up with positive tests?
Yeah, but then again, this is just because you test negative doesn't mean you're actually negative.
Well, yeah, but then that doesn't. I know what you're saying.
There's still a calculated risk towards that, and that's why Roman Reigns did the thing that he did. That's why
apparently Roman Reigns just stepped away because he was having kids.
I mean, yeah, that could be one reason.
He says,
but
I'm having kids.
I don't know. It's like, it's easy to really just, and I'm not here to defend it. In fact, like in a perfect world, there should be no wrestling going on right now
ever.
And but I can't.
Well, in a perfect world, there'd be
I can't really speak on the survival of said company. Like I could confidently say if AEW never gotten that television deal, they would be super fucked.
Right.
They would like when that deal was extended to 2024, like you would think that, oh shit, that means if they can't do this, and then like when they pull this X amount of ratings, they can't continue. And now that they signed that extension, they're safe. But it's a situation that I can't really just put my finger on it. And I don't think I was going to say there's not an easy solution, but there is a solution, which is
UFC's been doing shows, WWE's been doing shows,
and they've been financially successful. Double or Nothing, as reported by Brian Alvarez, said it did on the level of all their other pay-per-views, which they expect. It went high above their expectations. The UFC pay-per-view with Justin Gaethje and Tony Ferguson. Like that did like 700,000 buys. That's on the level of some of their biggest draws. And I think it's just boils down to people just wanting to be entertained.
Yeah. I mean, should wrestling shows be continuing? I mean, I'm on the side of, that if they're taking all the necessary precautions, other things are opening back up already. I'm not saying everything's blowing over or everything's back to normal, but things are starting to look better. I mean, all around, it
hasn't backfired yet. I'll say that. As of right now, it hasn't backfired, but
we haven't knocked it out of the park, but we hit a single. Let's just say that we made it to first base.
No, I would say I wouldn't go as far as to say a single. I would say they're on ball 3.
Okay.
I mean,
all right. Well, one.
They showed that Giants Cardinal game 2 days ago.
Which from
the one where Ishikawa does a walk-off home run at the bottom of the ninth when they're down 1. And then I saw that and I'm like, that happened at AT&T Park. Imagine being there. Remember crowds?
I drive by it every day. It's really depressing.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, WWE, they're quote unquote doing everything they can to make sure they can get by in a time of pandemic.
They put a laser in front of my face and say, "Oh, I'm at 96 degrees. That's normal. Okay, let's go."
What?
That's how they check temperatures.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, like I said, I'm saying like they laid off all those people because they needed to make cutbacks, quote unquote.
Oh, I see. I can see where you're going with this, but yeah.
But there was a meeting the other day by Bushiroad Executive, which if you're not familiar, Bushiroad is a company that owns New Japan Pro Wrestling
and Stardom
too. Yes. But on a recent episode of Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer, Uncle Dave, mentioned that Bushiroad board of directors had a meeting. Despite them hurting economically right now, they have chosen to take anywhere from a 15 to 95% cut from their pay. And
85.
And chosen not to issue mass layoffs. So, well, that's probably one of those things. Like you're not making profit, but they're like, can we make sure I'm getting food? Thanks. I'll do 95%, but can we make sure I'm getting food? Cool. Thanks. Yeah. And just laundry too. Okay. Yeah.
So they just want to make sure they're just making the decision of not laying people off, and it's not. And they're a publicly traded company. They are willing to put people over profit margins. It's the exact opposite of what WWE is doing.
That was a lot of the reasons why, remember Harold May went on, he did that video on YouTube a couple weeks ago when he was lost in front of all his gold.
Yeah.
No, so like I said, they're choosing not to issue mass layoffs, and I don't think, despite probably someone for behavioral issues, I'm sure there's somebody that's going to get laid off. You're like, that guy was an asshole, we're going to fire him anyways.
No one's getting fired. Okay, well,
no one's getting fired, I guess. No one's getting fired, I guess, in all of Bushiroad companies, or just New Japan Pro Wrestling. I don't know. That part wasn't really clear to me. If it's all Bushiroad companies or
no one,
yeah. And
Champion Carnival is happening.
What?
All Japan Pro Wrestling's Champion Carnival is going to happen on September, which is All Japan Pro Wrestling's G1.
What?
Their version of G1. Yeah.
Is there a Ferris wheel at this carnival?
It would be so much better. It would be so much cooler if it did. But I'm just going to read this off postwrestling.com. It says, All Japan Pro Wrestling's annual Champion Carnival tournament was scheduled to begin on April 6th at Korakuen Hall and to end on May 5th at the same venue. The coronavirus outbreak put the tournament on hold, and it was announced in early April that it would not be taking place at all. All Japan President Takanori Fukuda met with President of Cable Interview today. During that meeting, it was announced that the 2020 Champion Carnival Tournament will take place in September. Also, the Carbell Foundation has agreed to a 2-year sponsorship deal with All Japan, and they have the list of names of the participants of the All Japan Pro Wrestling Champion Carnival participants. Champion, no, he's no longer champion, never mind. Kento Miyahara, Davey Boy Smith Jr., Jake Lee, Sawama, Yuma Aoyagi, Shuji Ishikawa, Takashi Sugiura, Ayato Yoshida, Hideyoshi Kamitani, Zeus.
Zeus?
Not Zeus from No Holds Barred.
Debo's coming back?
No, he's not. That's not.
I wish he'd come back as Debo.
Naoya Nomura, Yoshitatsu Kai, Ryoji Sai, Joel Redman. I'm reading all these Japanese names, and then Joel Redman. It's like that East-West Conference from Key and Peele where it's just a bunch of ghetto-ass names, and then it's just the white quarterback. And then Gianni Valletta, Lucas Steele, and Shigehiro Ire. All Japan has been hosting empty arena shows as a part of their TV series, and their latest show took place on May 24th. So,
you heard what Hiroshi Tanahashi said, guys. Got to stop those shows.
I mean, September,
Tanahashi
take place in September. They insist on September.
Well, I mean, good on them, man. That's
empty, and it'll still be an empty arena. So. Should be cool. I mean, should be all right as far as empty arena matches are concerned.
Yeah, they need to open some gyms up for these people, though, because these people are going to start getting a little flubby.
Who's getting flubby?
I'm getting
names.
Corey, me. I am. I'm trying to tell them to open gyms, so they'll open it for the wrestlers. Wink, wink. Nudge, nudge. So I can go to the gym. Getting tired of this shit, man. Can't even do anything.
Yeah, well.
Sorry, I'm angry. All right, Dark Side of the Ring, executive producer, possible third season.
possible. Has to be. They have to make a third season. This was their highest rated show ever.
Yeah.
They're doing more numbers than Desus and Mero. I think everybody's doing better numbers than Desus and Mero on Vice because it's no longer on Vice.
Oh, well, there you go. Dark Side of the Ring executive producer, didn't get his full name. Something Husney. I didn't get his first name. Sorry. Third season, he says, is something everybody involved wants to do. Vice wants to make season 3. We would love to see it happen. And we're in those stages of conversation right now, though. There's just a lot of question marks about the future of the production, and even
question mark is involved.
He says, and even the future of the world. Our show deals with a lot of travel, and we'd love to go international, places like Japan for season 3. But there is a lot of uncertainty in the terms of that. So
I can't really think of scandalous things that's been going on in Japan wrestling, because I feel like
they could do the Korea show, the WCW.
Yeah, they can do the Korea. They could do the North Korea show.
That would be really interesting.
Yeah, there's a really
it's
cool.
Not like super it's dark, but it's not like they killed them. I'm like, oh
no, it's a very unsettling situation that a bunch of big ass pro wrestlers.
You get Scott Norton's interview in there. Oh my god.
Yeah,
you heard that story, right?
What
Scott Norton, he was on the phone with his wife, and he goes, "Oh, these guys are crazy. They want me to do this." He was kind of bad mouthing the North.
And he got recorded.
He got recorded, and then he got interrogated for 7 hours in a basement under the hotel. He thought he said he legit thought he was gonna die and his body was gonna disappear.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mean, hey, he's still with us.
Hey, he is still with us, Scotty Norton. So, and they already had him for a season. Didn't they have him in an episode this last season?
He cried like he was in the
One Heart.
No, the Road Warriors.
Road Warriors, yeah. So the one last thing he says about that is that I could see that all parties want to see it happen. There's no shortage of stories for us to cover. We put a lot of thought into it already, and we're getting ideas from people every minute of social media, which is awesome.
I can't think of stories right now, actually.
We just thought of the North
Korea. I mean, the North Korea one, yeah, that's a big get.
Antonio Inoki's, and you could just do Antonio Inoki, it's government involvement.
Or just Antonio Inoki in general.
Well, there you go.
You know, him carrying, him being carried by the crew, what do you call it? Fuck. Him being crucified to the ring. That's a dark side of the ring. Him using MMA fighters to further his promotion to a point where it almost ran out of business.
I'm sure there's some like mob stuff or something in like England they can get into. All right, yeah. We're gonna talk. Come on, Paige. What? I didn't say anything.
No. We'll see. Looking forward to it. I'm sure what they'll be doing will be off the charts.
Yeah. Looking forward to it. So that concludes news. All Elite Wrestling's Double or Nothing happened this last weekend, though. We didn't really get too much time to talk about it. And
we didn't. Yeah,
we didn't do a post show because we got lazy, and we're not going to do that much anymore. Because we're going to be on top of our game here at City Wrestling Radio. This is probably the 4th time we've promised this, but I swear to God, we promised it this time. So, Double or Nothing, Michael, you got 60 seconds on the clock. What did you think of the show? And go.
It was a thoroughly entertaining show from top to bottom. I paid $30 for it. Felt bad that I didn't. Because if words of the wise, if you fancy up your internet and tell Fight TV that you're from Vietnam, you can do whatever you want with it. You can pay it for $19.99. No, but I came out of that show thinking if I spent $50 on it, it would be worth
30
it.
seconds.
The Stadium Stampede match was the hardest I've laughed over a wrestling match in a very, very long time. The Cody Lance Archer, it was a little bit overbooked, but ultimately Cody Rhodes was the right decision to put over as your representative of your television title. He'll make that established as ever, and I don't think you could do that with Lance Archer. And I think Hikaru Shida was the right person to win that for the same reasons why Cody won. A solid representative that can get above average matches out of, and I think as a face of that division, Hikaru Shida, she's number one.
All right. Well,
pretty cool, really good show. Really good show. Went like just the build up to that. Like we said it last week. Like and then when it happened, just like whoa.
Well, I don't think I have a whole 60 seconds of a review to give the show, but I do think the show was a wonderfully entertaining show. The ladder match was probably one of my favorite matches of the night, even though it was kind of all over the place.
Match of the night was MJF Jungle Boy, bar none.
A lot of people said that, yeah. It was a really good match. They actually
I wasn't matching Stadium Stampede's the match of the night, but like as far as like live, like in ring stuff went, like that is a very, very established second.
We saw the debut of Brian Cage, who has
he rips a fucking ladder in half.
Who had a very cheesy intro to his theme song. Who can stop?
I've grown into it. I've warmed up to it. Warmed up to it.
Easy. Yeah, so I thought it was a really great show. The Stadium Stampede match, like you said, was great. All the different Matt Hardys. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Moxley is great. I didn't like Brody Lee as a challenger, but there you go.
That match was okay. There was a little too much outside walking and brawling for my taste. I think if they stuck it in the ring, I would have liked it a lot more. But
keep it in the ring, guys.
What else? I was about to say something. Oh, every other angle they showed off that one-winged angel that Sammy Guevara took, it just looked way, way worse than it already has to be.
Yeah,
that's a crazy fucking bump. And Sammy Guevara, he's really putting it. He's punching his bump cards. That crash pad can only do so much.
You mean
even Aubrey Edwards got hurt. Like her on our Instagram page, like she showed off her elbow when she was climbing to the crash. She was using a ladder to climb to the crash pad to pin. Like apparently, like a day later, she'd like bruised her elbow.
I did like Jericho. You're a shitty ref. You're a shitty ref.
Oh, I got
getting heat.
Yeah.
But that was last Sunday or Saturday night, and then we move on to AEW Dynamite, which happened this past Wednesday. Last night or 2 nights ago, whatever day you're watching us, or a week ago. I don't know when you're watching us.
Whatever the date says on the video layout.
Day before that.
Yeah. Yeah. Dynamite, May 27th, 2020. We get a Double or Nothing recap, which we just did, so you don't have to watch that video. Just listen to us. We have Jericho and his Inner Circle members finding ways to recoup payments for the Inner Circle Stadium Stampede champion shirts.
That was a good touch. I like that.
These guys, man. These fucking
I forgot I have today.
And then they have and Jericho, he's relieved of the fact that they didn't have many of these, but then Ortiz or Santana, like they was like, oh yeah, I have a really good connect. And so he just opens up a truck and it's just a truckload of like boxes upon boxes of these. And Ortiz, he still can't hear due to the bell bump from that Stadium Stampede match. Yeah, great stuff.
Well, the joke
cold
here,
open.
The joke here was great too, because it's like you always hear those stories about like World Series, the World Series finals. There's they make 2 different versions of the shirt, and the winners get their shirts, and losers their shirts get shipped off to like some donation place, which sometimes a lot of times it's a different country,
in a third world country. Yeah, they're selling these shirts at AEWshop.com.
Are they the inner
and it's half off?
That's great. I like it. Yeah. I wonder if they actually made them and they were like, well, shit, did we? I don't know.
No, it's a joke within the show that only people who watch the show are going to get. It's just like the whole mantra of wrestling shirts in general.
Okay.
So, yeah, we got a cold open of that show that puts us into the intro. We start with Matt Hardy and the Young Bucks versus Private Party and Joey Janela. Pre-match, Matt Hardy cuts a promo with Paige and Omega, who leave early for drinks, thus writing them off for today's show and explaining what goes on later on. They pretty much go through Hardy's outfits, eventually leading to Hardy dressing up like AJ Styles and asks if the Bucks want to be spot monkeys. Matt Jackson still has a taped up rib, and apparently that's legit too. That it feels like it's broken, and the fact that he's still doing this match is fucking insane. There was a really cool visual glitch when Nick did a crossbody. For a second, I thought it was like one of Hardy's like superpowers, but it was nothing but a glitch.
No, Spot Monkey Matt doesn't have superpowers.
Oh yeah, no, it's just his flippy stuff.
Just Damascus.
Tope Suicida and a Death Valley driver from Janela to Nick, in which Janela stares at the camera and yells, "He's gonna puke."
I did. You know what? Real quick, AEW was taking shots all night in WWE. Even JR made a comment about, he goes, well, at least they're not thrown into some plexiglass or something at the barricade at the ringside. So I don't know. It's funny. It's funny to me.
Oh yeah, no, it's a lot of people just kind of just get off on any which way to.
Inside spot. Oh
yeah,
insider stuff. Oh my God.
Isaiah does an abdominal stretch in which JR and Excalibur says he's a big fan of Wilbur Snyder, which I have zero doubt in my mind that he is. Clearly knows who that person is. Matt then dives over the barricades to beat on Butcher and Blade because Matt accidentally super kicks Blade. Nick Jackson does everything, including a springboard destroyer to Cassidy, hot tag to Hardy, side effect to Cassidy. They go back and forth. Eventually, tandem DDT to both private party members. Hardy piles up all three dudes to moonsaults all of them for a 2 count. JR is betting Rick Knox doesn't know who's legal. Janela hangs onto the second rope, leaving himself to get super kicked by the Bucks, but they get a stereo tope con hilo as Cassidy does an MJ shrug to the camera. Been watching his Last Dance doc. At this point, Quen just disappears, might be hurt. Bang for your buck on Cassidy for the pin and win. This match, a little sloppy at times, but I think that's par for the course whenever it's private party. These guys are clearly young. They definitely overthink a lot of their spots and then just kind of stumble on execution. This was definitely shown in the buy-in when they had that match against private party. These guys, ring rust these guys are an example of that ring rust being real. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But other than that, it was an entertaining match. But at the end of the day, it's another match because I mean the only thing we're going to get out of this is the post match. Matt Hardy and Rick Knox helps Quen to the back. Good on you, Matt Hardy. Butcher and Blade then attack the Bucks because of course they did, and then lo and behold, what are they doing here? Get the camera off. Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler have entered the Dynamite Zone via truck. And they fucking sped. They're not like Cody where it's just a limp dick like 5 miles an hour. No, they made sure that they out Cody in this situation. So they tend to the Bucks. They just stare at them and then turn around and beat up Butcher and Blade. They give a spike pile driver on Blade and to stare down the Bucks some more. And they leave the ring. FTR. They're back. Well, they're here. What did you think of this segment?
I understand what they're doing. It's one of those things like, if anyone's going to take you out, Bucks, it's going to be us because we want you to be nice and healthy. We want you to be at your best when you wrestle us. We don't want you to be hurt in any excuse.
I mean, Matt Jackson's already hurt.
Well, you know what I mean.
Let's go wait for that. Yeah. This is the program. This has been a long time coming. It's very exciting to see the potential of this match. Everybody has been dreaming about this even when they were on WWE. And, we'll see where it goes from here. Dax Harwood and what are they called again? Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler. I'm still going to have to get used to that.
Dax and Cash.
Got it. And their shirts came up on Shop AEW, and it's a fuck the rest. Of course, fuck is censored. So
their name's FTR. Formerly,
you can do a lot of that. You can do a lot with that.
So
they don't have the revival, and they don't have for the revolt.
So they just whatever 3 things you want to put there.
Pretty much.
There you go.
AEW World Champion John Moxley enters the commentary desk, fresh off his Double or Nothing victory against Exalted One's Brody Lee. He feels terrible. Thanks for asking. Puts over Brody Lee as his toughest fight, but mentions Brian Cage as his next opponent because he won the ladder match. They recap the ladder match of Cage tossing fools and winning as Mox reacts to every bump. He's like, oh, Jesus Christ. What? Oh, no. What? Yeah. That was really funny. And then brings us to our next match. Brian Cage versus Lee Johnson. Brian Cage kills Lee Johnson. Pin 1, 2, 3.
Did they take that part out of his song yet?
No, of course not. They shouldn't. It's bad, but I like it.
Will step in the path of Cage.
Post-match, Taz cuts a promo and tells Mox he's going to deal with the machine and that he'll put his hand on his chest and tear his heart out of his chest. He says chest twice. That's not.
Is it me or does something seem very robotic about Taz? Since
it's because he has no neck, dude.
No, I don't mean the way he moves.
He's had neck
I mean
surgeries,
the way he's talking. It just seems like before Taz.
I thought he sounded like.
Hold
on, let me actually finish this here. He says later on, he just says, "Beat him if you can, survive if he lets you," which is a long ass time since he said that. That was his old catchphrase back in ECW. He saw that from somebody else. I don't forget who.
Yeah.
I really like Taz as a manager for Brian Cage. He
sounds like he's trying out for like ringmaster for the strongman at the carnival. Like, come witness the strongman. He is here. Witness his strength. You cannot believe what is going on.
I think that's just part of his charm. I think he does anger really well, and he's really good on the mic. I liked him on commentary, and I especially like him as a manager for Brian Cage.
And I see people making the comparisons to Paul Heyman and Brian Cage, and that's just
because they're just both East Coast portly dudes.
I guess so.
And yeah, I mean, hey, you do have that ECW connection with each other. But yeah, Mox says this is going to be fun as they both stare, and I thought so. I think so too. I want to hear more of Taz. Dr. Britt Baker appears with her assistant in wheelchair while wearing heels near the ramp. That was really ridiculous.
Yeah.
And she's with Tony Schiavone, who presents the rules of being a role model. I said the rules of being a role model. You're supposed to say the dun.
Oh, right.
Yeah, no, we didn't talk about this pre-show. Rule number 3 is all about me. Don't hurt the role model. Calls her broken tibia injury a conspiracy, says she is close personal friends with TNT executives, and orders Reba, her assistant, to flip pages. Calls Chris Statlander being an alien a crock of shit. So that brings us our shit quota for the week. Calls Sheeta a cheater with the kendo stick. Calls Nyla Rose out for being not good on the top rope. Britt then summoned.
She said something like she's flown off the rope 1,000 times. How can she not flown off the rope gracefully 1,000 times? How can she not guide herself off of not falling on me?
Yeah, she's right. Why not? Britt then summons a board with strings and picked. There's a bunch of strings and pictures, like it's an episode of True Detective where she's just putting all the pieces together, and at the center of it all, there's referee Aubrey Edwards saying she was around for all of her injuries. When she broke her nose, she was somewhere. When she had her concussion, she was there. It was And then she announced she'll be back at All Out, which is quite a ways away. I think that's like usually in September.
Yeah.
And as she wheels out, the words "roll out" appear on the back of her wheelchair. I thought she was.
Was it roll out, or I thought it said role model?
Roll out.
ROLL model. So that's what I wrote down.
It's roll out.
Okay.
Yeah. I might be
roll out to all out.
Yeah. I thought the segment was excellent. I think Britt Baker should appear regularly on Dynamite if she can.
Yeah.
Just to keep her character relevant. I mean, she's really doing her best. She's just about to be doing her best work. Why stop now? And if she can do it, why not? What do you think of this segment?
It's funny. Is Aubrey going to have a match?
I definitely can see why, you would be weary to involve the referee because you don't want them to be the center of attention. But I thought about
doing it, and now Britt's doing it, and they're pushing Aubrey to kind of be the character.
I think there's a certain philosophy with AEW that they want their audience to not care just about the wrestlers, but they don't want to care people on the side. They want they acknowledge them by their names. Like I know, Rick Knox, Bryce Remsburg, Paul Turner, Aubrey Edwards. You have the ringside physician of Doc Sampson. Like they want people to know a lot of the people within the company because it would make the audience feel like they're a part of it. Yeah. Like they want everybody to become like on a first name basis with their fans.
Yeah.
And there's something to it that I really do kind of feel like it's very admirable. Like they want to treat everybody there like human beings.
Well, it's just a lot of like the only other ref that I think gets any attention is Rick Knox, but that's just because he got put through the table by Nyla, but none of the other refs have been called out. So it's weird for both Jericho and Britt to call out Aubrey Edwards now if it's not going to lead somewhere down the road. Like
I think it's mostly
Aubrey
due to the fact that
said, let's go, come on.
I mean, Aubrey Edwards, she gets some of the biggest reactions throughout their shows, and what better way to get heat than to rub off on that heat on Aubrey Edwards,
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say, like, the second, like, Aubrey Edwards is eventually gonna take a bump, and the second that happens,
she's gonna have a match.
It's gonna be not necessarily have a match, but then like within the storyline of a match, the second that woman takes a bump, when we get audience, when we have fans back, like,
yeah,
fuck, skies. That's
you're gonna see
the entire roof is gonna blow off, and
you're gonna see fucking like Undertaker just lost, The Miz just won the title, like is she?
Yeah, no, Undertaker losing the streak and Miz winning the title. Those are two very comparable events.
Yeah, that'll be me in the audience, just like why'd they do it to Aubrey, man? It's not cool. Anyways,
it's just getting worked, bro. We get a commercial for the Jazzware AEW figures. I pre-ordered the Kenny Omega one.
I don't like them. They don't look good,
and they really don't look good. But but here's the thing: buyer beware. If you pre-order on Ringside Collectibles, if you pre-order a figure on Ringside Collectibles, you're gonna they take that money out of your bank account. They don't do it like any other sensible website where you'll get charged when it pre-orders, like when it ships. Like, no, that's a direct deposit. So
thank you.
Yeah, that's I really should have known. And it said it right there. I just wasn't paying attention, but I don't think any other website does that. Except
what figures did look good were those New Japan.
Kenny Omega one was the only good one that looked good. But then I know what you're talking about. The Super 7 ones.
Yeah,
The Super 7 New Japan Pro Wrestling ones look good because they're renders. Like they showed the official LIJ ones, but they didn't show the ones with Tanahashi, Ospreay, and Ishii, and the Lucha Bros. Like those are rendered. Like I really want to see what those actually look like. But those, I mean, they're $40 a pop, so they should look good.
The WWE or the AEW ones?
No, the Super 7 New Japan ones.
There's just something about those AEW ones where it's like the middle of the set. It just looks
Moxley looks terrible.
It looks really bad because
Moxley looks super fucking.
It's those bendable figures where it's like the top of the body and then it goes in because it just looks bad.
Their traps are too protruded. They don't have any. They don't have any actual. Their shoulders are kind of just too low.
And they have no rib cage.
You mean biceps and?
No, they have no rib cage. Look at those fucking toys, man. Yeah, there's nothing in there.
I mean, they do the Fortnite figure. I hear good things about Jazzwares. Like I consider myself kind of an.
Give it to the San Francisco Toy Company. That's what I want to see.
Is that real?
Well, those are the guys who made the original, like some of the original WWE stuff, like the plastic ones, like the.
I need to know more about the San Francisco Toy Company.
Well, maybe we should talk about it. Anyways.
Yeah, action figures are coming. They look like shit, except for Kenny Omega. Can I pre-order that?
Hey, I think you're just.
I paid $34.
So it must.
And I'm not getting buyer's remorse. God damn it! Alex Marvez is with the Inner Circle backstage. Jericho tells him to shut his ass, you fathead. Which,
whoa.
Sorry, Alex. And then as Jericho just cuts his promo, Orange Cassidy then stumbles around in the shot in which all Inner Circle members just stare at him, and Jericho just says, "We'll see you later, Orange Cassidy."
So are we going to get an Orange Cassidy Jericho match eventually?
No, we're going to get Orange Cassidy and Mike Tyson versus Sammy Guevara and Chris Jericho. But we'll get there. Hikaru Shida versus Christy Janes. JR puts over Janes about her doctorate and growing up with a single parent in Texas despite being born in Brazil. Christy Janes, she does a pre-match ritual where she dances, and she should do that more often, if I say so myself. Shida's back with her Tifa Final Fantasy VII inspired gear. This looked awesome. And it looked awesome that in Double or Nothing, and it still looks awesome today. Christy Janes. Thing is, it says Janes, and I just feel like that sounds possessive. but it's actually her name.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jane's dead legs Sheeta, arm drag from Jane's and dances in celebration. Again,
she had a lot of charisma.
Yeah, she showed a lot of charisma. This was more. This was supposed she had a lot. She had a lot going in. Sheeta gets a fistful of hair, and so does Jane's. Running knee to the corner on Jane's. Another knee to Jane's on the apron. Sunset flip to a kick from Jane to a 4-2 count. Looked kind of rough. Missed lion salt and gets a knee to the back of her head, but kick out. But a Falcon Arrow keeps Jane's down for the pin and win. JR follows Sheeta on Twitter and tells us that Sheeta celebrated by eating a pint of ice cream.
Oh, really good ice cream.
Really good ice cream.
The different generation, isn't it?
Thanks, JR. And thank you, Sheeta. And thank you, Christy. That was a match.
That's way too long.
Hikaru Shida is your champion. Let's show off our champion.
Yeah,
Christy James.
That's too long.
He has a lot of.
Too long.
I didn't think it was that long. It was like what, like 3 or 5 minutes, less than 10.
It was like 6 minutes. I don't know.
Picture in picture, you see Omega and Paige in their hotel room, just guys being dudes. Eventually, Paige notices they're on camera, and he's again, sorry, podcast listeners, but he's sort of like this. He just sort of notices the camera, like, wait a minute,
he's peeking in.
Are we being filmed right now?
Yeah.
What the heck? And then,
oh god, I'll get into that later.
It takes them forever to realize they're on TV, and Kenny takes a swig of milk, in which he gets all of it on his shirt, because that's the only way to drink milk when you're a professional wrestler.
Hey, you know what? He learned from the best, Kurt Angle.
We get a recap of the TNT title match at Double or Nothing, and then Cody comes out. Belt is still silver and red, and so is his name, Chiron. Still not feeling it. Tony is with Cody in the ring. He says Tom Brady is his favorite quarterback, in which he gets boos because he wasn't picked first. And it's not because of Boston sports, and says he's probably no longer welcome in Connecticut.
Another shot.
Yeah, take a shot right now, Corey. Says Tony Khan wants a merit-based wrestling company, and that he wasn't the first call. He wasn't the second call. No, he wasn't the first call. He wasn't the second call. He wasn't the third call. And then for a second, when he did this, he did the
what?
Sorry, podcast listeners, but he's doing number 4 sign. He holds up a 4 sign, which hint. What'd I say? First call. But Paige is no. Oh yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, the other people, I guess, that were called. What was the first person that was called? Was it CM Punk or was it Matt Jackson?
I'm just gonna assume it's the Bucks.
It was the Bucks, CM Punk,
and Kenny Omega.
Well, I think Kenny was called after Cody, right?
I don't know.
He was on the list, but CM Punk, I think, was either the first or second person called. Just think how different would AEW have been if CM Punk was, you know what I mean? Like, I
try not to dwell on that.
I know, not even in a good way though. I mean, like, it could be horrible. Like, we could have had this like company that lasted a couple of months and never got a good TV deal, but yet
I would love to have CM Punk. Honestly, I feel like CM Punk would actually be a more than a great get for AEW.
We don't know that. You know what I mean? Like,
we don't know we also don't know if it's going to be bad.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying, like, you could think about the goods and the bad. And
I don't see a lot of bad in acquiring CM Punk.
Yeah, well,
at least on the top of my head.
How different it would have been. Maybe it wouldn't be on TNT. Maybe you would have been on.
I still the Jericho. I feel like Jericho, no matter what, would have been the first champion.
Yeah, could be
because he says, okay, so he wasn't the first call, but paid his dues from the day he couldn't run the ropes, in which points to Billy Gunn, saying he knows more about that than anyone, but he paid his dues. But regardless, he is the champion of America's greatest network. Says if you think his story is of nepotism, whatever. You can have all the talent in the world, but you can shove it up your ass because he will outwork you. Judge him by what he does next, and he will stand out there every week and pretty much asks for an open challenge. Cody Rhodes, American Nightmare Wrestling every week on TNT because he's the TNT champion. What is your opinion on that?
Well, I want to mention something about his promo first. I love how he says, this is not a story about nepotism, but I started in wrestling business at 21 with no skill. So then why the fuck were you in the wrestling business? It was because, you know what I mean? Like, it is.
It's in his bloodline. Well, the thing is, he doesn't.
He
doesn't necessarily dismiss the whole nepotism fact. He if anything, he's going at the angle that he was born into this, and that he's destined for this.
Oh, I get it, because he actually did wrestle like he's a high school wrestler, right?
Yeah.
And he wrestled Xavier Austin Creed when they were in high school as opposing high schools. But I would love to, hear that story, not this like him having no skill going into the wrestling business. I love Cody.
Well, the thing is, it's supposed to. Well, the point is, it's supposed to establish how far he's come. From that day of where he couldn't run the ropes properly to what he is.
Yeah,
now.
you don't want him to sound like this. Like, I'm Dusty's son. I'm naturally gifted. I'm here to show the world. Break it off.
He says wrestling is missing its greatest asset, the fan. And then he comes up to the camera and says, like what his dad would say, and say, "This is where the fun begins."
This, baby, it's where the fun begins, baby. Follow me.
So throughout the promo, like there was like interspersed cuts of Bunny of Butcher and Blade constantly flirting with QT Marshall, and then you have Brandy just kind of smacking QT Marshall, like, "Pay attention! What are you doing?"
Yeah, where did this come from?
Idea. This is from Dark. It first happened in Dark.
So she's not with the Butcher and the Blade anymore?
I think she still is, but I think she's just kind of courting QT Marshall into like stuff, to get his guard down, I guess, for the Butcher and Blade to do things with what are they called? What is the name of Marshall and Dustin? Oh,
like the Natural Nightmare or whatever.
Yeah.
The Naturally Nightmarific. I don't fucking know, man.
Yeah, Cody, Wrestling Dynamite every week. I want to see what he does. I want to see what he can do. I want to see what he's capable of in a week, week to week basis. Knock on wood, nothing like that happens, but I want to see what he can do to mix things up a bit. And I think he can. We'll get there later.
He's gonna every week. Well, not next week. There won't be because next week will be the winner of the Battle Royal facing Cody Rhodes. But every week thereafter, he will be issuing the John Cena Open United States Challenge.
That's exactly the vibe I kind of got. And that was, in my opinion, Cena's best run.
It was. That was really cool. Because you think about the times like Sami Zayn came out, and that was like one of the biggest pops.
The one where he threw out his shoulder.
The one where Vince gave up on him. That one.
Ugh. Kip Sabian and Jimmy Havoc with Penelope Ford versus SU, Frankie Kazarian, and Scorpio Sky. Kaz with hair still freaks me out. Kip and Havoc Pearl Harbor's SU. SU double teams Kip. They build heat on Havoc. Kaz gets catapulted into an eye poke, which blinds him for the time being. Build heat on Kaz, but hot tags to Sky, but does hot tag things. Belly to belly to Kip. Twisting cutter to a dragon sleeper to Sabian. Havoc yells out, "Sure you can!" as he does an uppercut to Sky, seated on the top rope. Assisted swinging DDT to Havoc for the two. They set up Havoc for the SCU later, but Penelope grabs Kaz's boot, leading to a Michinoku kick combination for the upset victory. They take on Paige and Omega for the tag titles next week, and the winner of that match takes on Best Friends at Fyter Fest. There's a reason why I kind of just barreled through my recap of this match, because I thought this was just a match.
Yeah.
It was very long. The crowd was kind of dead.
The workers, the crowd were dead.
But I still think that it wasn't bad. Like, these guys were really technically sound. They got all their spots in. SCU continues to be the most consistent performers in the entire company.
Here's the thing.
I just don't think Sabian and Havoc are that over. And maybe this match was what it was trying to accomplish. But, as I'm seeing it right now, these guys are just fodder for Omega and Page.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that I think Kip and Jimmy are going to win the titles next week.
Yeah. Okay.
No, well, just because there was a flub up of a line by Excalibur, and he said something like, he said something like, "Oh, they could walk into Fyter Fest to take on the Best Friends." Or I mean, whoever wins the championships.
Yep, this is coming from the same person who called that Wardlow is turning on MJF at this very Dynamite. So,
well, you know what? He had thoughts. I think he did in his head. He mentally turned on him already. You saw it in his eyes. He was like, "You're no longer my friend, but I will continue to work for you because you pay my bills."
Okay, well, hey, you heard it here first. Corey says that Sabian and Havoc are.
I'll await my balloon next week. I should get my Lion's Den balloon, by the way, or at least half a balloon, an uninflated balloon for that.
Yeah, it's not the first time someone has ever. Never mind. MJF video promo says he's magnifique on the mic and that he's undefeated for over a year, and that it's pretty perplexing to him that he hasn't received a title shot and thinks someone at the office doesn't like him. MJF says Wardlow is his insurance policy in the Battle Royale, and when him and Wardlow are the final two, War Dog knows what to do. Wardlow then says, but, and then MJF responds, but nothing. And they stare down to a very uncomfortable silence and tension. And then he laughs and jokes as they get into the battle royale. Yeah, they're sprinkling. They're really just giving us the sprinklings of a Wardlow turn, which I'm not entirely opposed to a Wardlow face turn, because I feel like every big dude they have, besides Luchasaurus, are heels. Just give us another big dude.
Is Brian Cage a heel, or is he just tough?
He's positioned as a heel against Moxley.
Yeah.
He's got Taz. He kind of cuts heel promos as this monster. Look at this guy and his muscles. He wants to be Wolverine. He's the unbreakable machine.
That would sound more natural if Taz just said that, rather than through walks this Brian Cage taking on.
I think what that promo was still on brand of what Taz is capable of. Wardlow. The Battle Royal winner faces Cody next week on Dynamite for that TNT Championship. We get back from commercial, and Billy Gunn from Gunn & Son enters the ring and towers over everybody. I think Billy Gunn is just like, he is deceptively huge. You're that everybody saw. I don't know.
Yeah, I never thought he was that big in the old WWE days, but. Yeah.
As the match begins, Orange Cassidy slowly enters the ring, but gets beat up by Proud and Powerful, which writes him off the match for the time being. We have MJF and Wardlow in the corner, just standing and staring. And that's the thing, though. Like, you have Wardlow protecting MJF, but you have MJF sitting on the top corner. Like, he is still more vulnerable than most people. He's just sitting on the corner, like, above the top rope. Like, you're still prone to just get eliminated somehow.
Yeah.
But I mean, Wardlow's right in front of him, so
just leave to the bottom rope, MJF. Come on, man. Use your brain.
Marco gets kneed by Luther. Luchasaurus and Luther exchange strikes as Luther fucking tosses Stunt, landing on his neck. Looked terrible. And then what looked even worse was that Luchasaurus sends a receipt to Luther by chokeslamming him to the apron. I thought that looked rough. Maybe Luchasaurus was going into business for himself. Protecting Marco Stunt, like, you hurt Marco, I hurt
That's my little friend.
Yeah, that's not how Luchasaurus talks. JR calls MJF a Richard as he beats down Sonny Kiss. MJF stares down Colt Cabana. Dream match time as Billy Gunn and Cabana exchange strikes. Cabana gets eliminated by Gunn as Cabana rides in frustration and is handed a Dark Order pamphlet. Could we see a possible Dark Order?
Hey, that guy was back. The recruitment officer for the Dark Order. He was back, wasn't he?
Sure, why not?
Wasn't he in the crowd?
They didn't show his face. Colt Cabana and the Dark Order. I kind of hope that, like, Colt Cabana doesn't change character. He just happens to be in Dark Order. Like, hey, what's up, guys? When's the next meeting?
I'm Colt Cabana. This is the Dark Order. Yeah, exactly. Let's see.
I would hope so. Possible program. Marco tries to eliminate Luchasaurus, which I thought was funny. It's like, dude, what are you doing? What are you trying to do? Avalon and Cutler stare down and try to eliminate each other, but they try to eliminate each other, but like losers, they both get eliminated. Wardlow and MJF work Daniels on the corner. Jungle Boy gets a famouser. Marco eliminates Daniels via Hurricane Rana. Wardlow tosses Stunt to Daniels. Luchasaurus and Wardlow exchange strikes. MJF chops Lucha's knees. Like the whole strike, the whole
knees.
The whole tactic of chopping down the legs of a giant. That sort of thing.
Absolutely. That's how you gotta do it. Take it from the bottom.
So Billy Gunn stares at Luchasaurus and exchange strikes. They both get eliminated by MJF and Wardlow. Final four: Orange Cassidy, who just rolls into the ring lazily. Jungle Boy, MJF, and Wardlow. MJF sets Orange Cassidy for the ring, his diamond ring, but hits Wardlow, leading MJF getting eliminated and Wardlow as well. Orange Cassidy and Jungle Boy are the final two. Skin the Cat. Superman punch to Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy lariats OC off an Irish whip. JB then does an over-the-top Hurricane Rana to OC for the win. Amazing ending. I thought this was a super awesome elimination spot. And yeah, you're giving Jungle Boy a win for the Battle Royal for a loss to Cody next week.
Yeah.
This is Jungle Boy versus Cody sounds like a really enticing match. These guys should tear it up.
They've known each other for a while. I mean,
Yeah. But Cody shouldn't lose, but I also think Jungle Boy shouldn't lose. And again, I mention this all the time. I think it's very interesting to see, to
ooh,
to match up two people who shouldn't lose just out of curiosity of how it's getting booked.
no.
But I think Jungle Boy needs a win eventually.
Oh,
That
well,
guy,
not this one though.
he shouldn't win this match next
He
week.
get his win for tag titles in the future.
But against a named talent,
I
like
think I think the tag team deserves a tag title shot eventually, and I think they'd be good champions.
You think Jungle Boy is? You think Jungle Boy is? He's past the tag team division at this point, though. Like they're kind of establishing him. I mean, not kind of. They're establishing him as a singles competitor. Like he'll have your occasional tag match, but then like they really seem to be focusing on him and him.
Yeah, I don't feel like he's ready. I mean, he's great. He's great on his own. Natural charisma, but I don't know, man. Something about him.
I don't know. That match against MJF at Double or Nothing proves to me that he's ready, or at the very least he can step it up with with the likes of MJF, which I always thought like MJF was.
Well, I always think tag team should be, each individual person should be very strong people. You know what I mean? Not like, oh, just because they're half of a tag team, that means they're weak and they're not good, capable singles competitors. I think Jungle Boy should be able to compete with MJF, but I also think that Jungle Boy should have a run with the tag titles before he wins any other title.
Then he should be in tag matches. Then he shouldn't have faced MJF.
You're right.
Jungle Express should have been a bigger tag team. But to me, they seem to be keen on Jungle Boy being this, plucky face underdog, which can only get you so far. I complain about this in WWE. I can also complain about this in AEW. But who knows? Like this, I'm very much looking forward to Jungle Boy versus
Absolutely.
Cody.
I love Jungle Boy. He's a very nice guy. Very nice kid. He's a kid. I can call him that.
It's great. It's still. I will bring this up every time. Seeing him at that Battle Royale 2017 Clash of the Cow Palace, dude was over for no reason, in my opinion.
And that's then the one he came out and he got thrown out like immediately, though, right?
No, he was there. He was pretty much there for a while. Like he was okay. I'll say this: out of all the talent was he on the poster for Clash of the Cow Palace?
I'm sure.
I don't know. Isn't it like right next to you at all times?
No,
but
it's in my box of wrestling memorabilia under my bed. And I hide women.
I just remember him being a standout.
Yeah, so, I think that's the same one that it was Joey Ryan versus Cody Rhodes in a cage match, right?
Mm.
And then Shayna Baszler was there too. That was a good fucking show.
It's crazy how wrestling just happens over those years. And look at all of them now.
Let's continue.
Main event, Inner Circle Pep Rally. Picture-in-picture, we got cheerleaders and a marching band doing cheerleader and marching band things. We have Vicky Guerrero introducing the Inner Circle.
Former cheerleader, Vicky Guerrero.
Because fuck yes, of course she is. I thought this was the perfect role for Vicky Guerrero, introducing Inner Circle members. I like, and like in her Chiron, like her headline just says, "Get your earplugs ready," which I thought was really nice. Everyone is still selling the Stampede loss. Sammy is in crutches. Jericho says, like 5 sexy phoenixes, they will rise again. Just shit like that, where it's just the tackiest adjectives.
Yeah,
like it's just such a part. It's so good on Jericho. They're just throwing away the shirts that the loser
like, we got
shirts.
All shirts, and they're throwing them in the crowd.
But the audience members are throwing them back.
Yeah.
Sammy brings out participation trophies. Jericho gets King of Dad jokes. Sammy explains that there's a pandemic going on, so they only had so much trophies.
He's like, trophies are hard to come by. Sorry.
Santana gives out gifts, gives Ortiz chopped cheese, gives Hager a pair of knockoff Timbs. He gives Sammy some Vicks Vapor Rub for his one-winged angel.
He says, "Well, my afuega says to secure everything." And
my abuela
says the same thing. Fucking great.
And then Santana gives Jericho a picture of Mark Anthony, which Jericho calls him his hero. I thought that was really funny. Jericho gives Sammy a spotter. Yeah, Jericho gives Sammy a scooter. I don't know why it says spotter.
Yeah.
I think is the autocorrect.
Autocorrect.
Yeah, Jericho gives Sammy a scooter called the Hit Me Up Mobile, in which Tony and then like they hug, and then Tony just under his breath he just says, "Oh, what a nice moment." Ortiz gets ear mufflers so he can hear because it's still ringing, so it just cancels it out. Hager writes a poem in which JR under his breath he says, "Oh God." Hager gets too emotional with rage, which Jericho has to stop him. Sammy asks Jericho what he does, and then Sammy asks Jericho, what does he truly want? And after some pauses and, all dramatic like, he says he wants Mike Tyson's head on a platter and references January 11th, 2010 on a Monday night.
A continuation of a WWE storyline.
They needed a reason. I think honestly, I think it's kind of smart. Because there's literally no other reason for Mike Tyson to be involved with Chris Jericho.
Absolutely. There's no reason.
Well, no, except for that. There's no other reason except for that, which, a lot of people who watch AEW, watches WWE for a moment in time. And so it's good to reference. Hey, it's good to reference it. Like, I know it's
I like callbacks, but it just seems to be that, I don't know. Anyway, I don't know why this is happening.
It's happening because they want Mike Tyson on the show. 5 minutes left. I just realized Mike Tyson was supposed to be on the show. Sammy gives Jericho a cheese platter and bubbly, but nothing's there. Who ate the cheese platter and who drank the bubbly? Well, clearly, we get that answer because Mike Tyson's music.
He has music.
Blares out. Yeah, he has music, and he sings it himself too. And then Iron Mike Tyson, Vitor Belfort, Henry Cejudo, Rashad Evans, and some fucking raccoon-looking dude called Mickey Gooch, who, upon further research, he's involved in the film industry, and he's part of Mike Tyson's entourage. He once dated Rebel Wilson, and
Good for him.
Like you have Mike Tyson, boxing champion. You have Vitor Belfort, former middleweight champion of the UFC. You have Henry Cejudo, dual champion of the bantamweight and flyweight division, and you have Rashad Evans, former light heavyweight. Like, you have these MMA legends, and then you get this fucking dude named Mickey Gooch.
He was trying to steal the show. I mean, that guy was trying to go into business for himself.
It was so stupid, dude. He made Mike Tyson look like a fucking. He made Mike Tyson look like a joke. And granted, Mike Tyson.
He made Tyson look like a joke, or Tyson made himself look like a joke.
And I was about to say, but then Mike Tyson wasn't helping his case either, because Jericho asked Tyson to apologize to him, or he's going to knock him out. And then Tyson goes, instead of building to a match against Chris Jericho, he kind of looked like he was building a match against his own shirt, because it takes him forever to rip up this shirt. And then when he does, Tyson just awkwardly just flexes in front of Jericho's face, as Jericho just keeps on repeating the line, "I'm gonna knock you out. I'm gonna knock you out." It's almost as if they were missing a cue.
I think Tyson missed his cue to push Jericho.
Yeah, and so what Jericho did was that he pushes Tyson. Jericho pushes Tyson, and then it starts like.
Well, before that, Tyson's going off. He's like, you sucker punched me in 2010. He goes, yeah, because you stole the title. You're a punk. You're a punk. You stole the title.
And then that, which apparently
wasn't even part of the story.
It
was like something with DX and Mike Tyson and Jericho at the time. I don't fucking know. I didn't go back and watch the Monday Night Raw, but.
Yeah, we end the show with the entire AEW locker few, outside a select few, out of risking making, like, if Darby Allin was a part of that pull apart, that would have been so demoralizing. But he wasn't. So this is
Orange Cassidy was pulling apart.
I think Orange Cassidy was there, but I know Colt Cabana was definitely there. And
I feel like they should have had Orange Cassidy just been like directing traffic. Like, no.
One of my favorite little details about that pull apart was that Jericho immediately went after Mickey Gooch. He just pushed him.
Yeah, Gooch.
Like, fuck yeah, get
the Gooch out of here.
Get him out of here.
Everyone's talking Gooch today, though.
And yeah, Mike Tyson, Chris Jericho, possibly at Fyter Fest, which is weird because Fyter Fest is I think is going to be a free event. It could be for pay-per-view, not much. And they didn't reveal a date for Fyter Fest too. They just said this summer.
This summer, Fyter Fest. Come on,
and so this is I can definitely see a bunch of like wrestling purists, being like miffed on the prospect of bringing in Mike Tyson. And in my opinion, I think building up to a Tyson Jericho match does nothing but favors for AEW. Like you see the Twitter headlines, you see ESPN, you see various outlets that you normally wouldn't get wrestling coverage for talking about AEW. You have 50 plus million people watching Mike Tyson training for a possible boxing match.
Right.
You need to have this outreach. They're at the risk of sounding like Stephanie McMahon. They're building a brand. They want AEW to get out there. They want headlines, and what better way to get headlines is to get somebody like I keep on saying Iron Mike Tyson, like it's fucking like that's his actual name, but it's
what
Mike Tyson.
Better way to bring in lapsed wrestling fans than something that happened a long time ago and that you're familiar with? And I'm not being facetious and I'm not joking, but I'm being honestly truthful. There's gonna be a lot of people that watch wrestling. You see a lot of people are on YouTube like we are, and
yeah.
But there's a lot of other there's a lot of other things that, like, there's people that just cover nostalgia things and they barely touch on wrestling because they weren't huge wrestling fans, but they watched it and they remember DX, they remember NWO, and they, oh yeah, Mike Tyson was on there. If you see him, oh, Mike Tyson's he's wrestling. Okay, he's in the wrestling show. I remember him. What's up with Mike Tyson? It brings back to the product.
The YouTube video of that Tyson segment on AEW, 993,000 views in 16 hours, and number 9 trending on video on all of YouTube.
Wow.
So this is this is traction, and so you can definitely, regardless of what you think of Mike Tyson as a person, which it's a very loaded subject in and of itself. Yeah, you can't necessarily fault for AEW to do this sort of thing, and it's kind of helpful. It's also a blessing and a curse that the fact this is happening without any fans, because you don't know the reaction. You can't really necessarily gauge a reaction of how people would think of Mike Tyson in a live setting. But in this type of environment, this clay is very moldable.
Yeah,
one might say, and I'm for it. Oh, actually, hold on. It just hit 1 million in 17 hours. Yeah.
Whoa.
I am curious of how this does the ratings wise. Like, if you could just lengthen your NXT review, we might even get that by the end of it.
We'll see. Let's get.
But yeah, AEW Dynamite. This was a very entertaining show. It's a meaningful step ahead after Double or Nothing.
Yeah.
Getting us looking forward to what's coming up next. And I kind of feel bad for the Revival because they're taking a back seat over this Mike Tyson foolishness.
They'll have something.
It's foolishness. Like I can't say this was a great segment. It was a mess.
Yeah, it was a mess.
It's an entertaining mess, and sometimes that's a kind of
Tyson who was just like marking out and was like, I'm sure they told him to go out there and do something, but he's probably like, yeah, whatever.
He's very much at the beat of his own drum, like clearly showed on that segment. So,
yeah.
Fucking Mickey Gooch.
Well, at least he's not.
Get rid of Mickey Gooch.
Yeah. Well, let's continue with NXT.
What did you think of the show?
Decent show. Fun, entertaining show. I liked it.
How many flare chops?
That's going to be an actual thing if we keep doing it, okay? So we got to stop.
I know. Nip that in the bud.
Nick that in the bud. NXT kicked off with the A block of the Cruiserweight Championship interim tournament with 3 guys, triple threat match, because these guys all tied and they all had wins over each other. So it was Drake Maverick versus Jake Atlas versus.
They all had wins over each other at the end of that match too.
Yes, they did. Well, except for Jake Atlas. If that's for damn sure. All 3 men go all around, going back and forth, and with the other person all around. Tilt-a-whirl backbreaker to Drake by Atlas. Atlas runs wild, hits a moonsault on Kushida, and a springboard blockbuster to Drake Maverick. These 3 men go all around, giving Drake kind of all the hope spots you think he's going to get a clean win. There was a wonderful, really, really, really good German suplex that Jake Atlas hit on Kushida at a certain point. Then we have the rainbow DDT to Drake, but Kushida pulls him outside of the ring with the pin attempt. Sakuraba lock to Drake Maverick on the turnbuckle, but Atlas breaks it up with Insaguri, knocking Drake out of the hold. Kushida then hits and locks the hoverboard lock on Jake Atlas. And then Drake Maverick just kind of crawls over and pins Jake Atlas.
Which makes no sense because Kushida is also on top of Jake Atlas.
Exactly. And well, what came out later that you saw later that, Jake Atlas actually tapped before the 3 count.
But Drake Maverick was blocking the view of the ref seeing that?
Exactly.
This was just so foolish. If they wanted Drake Maverick to win, fucking
they were
make
both
Jake
covering him, yeah. And it just, to me, well, that's the thing.
Did they want to protect Kushida?
It's just okay. So I said this was a fun match, but the finish seemed all of a sudden, and it was one of those stupid WWE finishes where everyone is quote unquote protected because you had Jake Atlas in this lock, so he couldn't get out of the pin by Drake, and Drake snuck the pin when Kushida was holding Jake down. So it's one of those things where it's like they think everyone's protected because nobody looks weak, but Drake still wins because if Drake pinned somebody, that they would look weak. And
when they try to protect everybody, no one's protected.
Well, when you have a guy 2 years ago peeing his pants, and you can't, if you have him go over somebody, they're gonna look weak, I guess. I don't know. So after the match, El Fantasma comes out and extends his hand to Drake Maverick, but he points at the belt and points at himself. When we come back from break, we're shown that Atlas tapped for a 3 count. The ref didn't see it. I don't even know why they would show us this. It kind of led somewhere in the coming segment, but we'll see. I don't know. It might lead somewhere else at TakeOver or next week. I don't know. Next up, we have Johnny Gargano. He comes to the ring with Candice LeRae. Johnny announces that there will be the first ever Johnny Gargano Invitational. Each week, he announces that his opponent this week is going to be first reads off Adrian Adonis, but it's not Adrian Adonis.
It wasn't Adrian Adonis.
It was Adrian Alanis. I guess he's from Evolve. I'm not too familiar. Alanis looks like he looks like Roman Reigns if Roman Reigns never wrestled and worked at Best Buy.
Dude, everybody looks like Roman Reigns in that company.
Well, no, this guy
long guy with long hair, like wet long hair and beard. Yeah, Roman Reigns.
Yeah. Gargano goes for a handshake, but sucker punches Alanis. Little Roman then gets a shot on Gargano, but Johnny hits the super kick and applies the Gargano escape, giving him the submission victory. After the match on the Titantron, plays a video of Mia Yim and Keith Lee. They're spoofing the Gargano videos, the video packages from a couple weeks ago where Gargano and LeRae would be talking at dinner and all of a sudden, have all those video distortions where they would change their voice. And so this was really bad.
Yeah, they made a lame segment even lamer. None of the jokes landed. Tegan Knox with the with the pizza.
Yeah, so
there was no point to that. Like
it was weird because Mia Yim, she's like talking about. So Keith Lee puts this thing on the table. It's a centerpiece. So here's the centerpiece for a dinner, and she goes, "Well, it's really fake and cheap, just like the Garganos." She puts a flashlight under her face and starts saying, "Like I'm Candice LeRae."
As a concept, it's very sound. It's
it's
a parody. It's a parody of that segment, and it's just like, but the jokes in and of itself were just not funny. And
they were making childish jokes.
And Yim and Lee, they didn't act. Like their acting wasn't great. Their acting wasn't great, but the writing was even worse.
I did like how Keith Lee kind of called the Yim out, and he goes, "What are you doing with that flashlight?" But what I don't get about this fucking segment, and I know I shouldn't be taking this seriously at all, and I'm being dumb and I'm being worked for doing this, is that first he's like, "What are you doing? Why are you just staring off into blank space and just saying things with a flashlight under your face, Mia?" And then all of a sudden they're talking to the Garganos through this. So they're
talking to the Garganos.
They're talking to.
They're also talking to the audience.
But they're also not talking to the camera because there's no camera there. But there is a camera there because they're talking to the Garganos being on a screen. I don't fucking get it.
It's a parody. They're just poking holes at the Gargano LeRae thing.
No, I know. That's when you said Tegan Knox comes in and she delivers 2 slices of pizza.
She ate them all.
Yeah.
No, I was so hungry that day.
I was so hungry, Mom. Yeah.
Taking notes, and I'm trying to make sure you get the pizza. I'll get one more pizza for you. Yep.
Next up, we have Mackenzie. She's backstage with Drake Maverick. Wants to know how he feels about Atlas tapping to Kushida. He says he wants to do the right thing. He wants to give Kushida a match to prove himself. He says Kushida comes in and he tells Drake, "You have match. Just go win. You have to keep your job." So pats him on the chest and walks away. So I mean,
whatever.
I don't know. Drake Maverick says, when I win the title, you'll be the first one to get a shot. So I'm honestly though, I think Drake could win this.
Kind of has to at this point.
Well, if you think about it, because if Phantasma wins, Jordan Devlin,
you're healing the fuck out of Phantasma if he wins.
Well, if Devlin comes back, then somebody's gonna have to lose, and then one of their pushes is gonna get stopped. But if you have Drake win this interim title,
when is Devlin coming back though?
Hold on, but if you have this interim title, Drake wins it, holds it for whenever. Devlin comes back, he squash him, win the title back, win his title. You know what I mean?
What? And then Maverick is fired?
No, then he'll have a job. Dude, he's not fired, man.
They made zero.
We're getting.
There's zero indication that he. I mean, I'm not going one way or the other of this thing, but they have made zero indication that he's actually still with the company. You know.
We'll see.
I hope he's getting paid.
I hope so. Imperium video package. Bartel calls Eichner the pride of Italy and calls himself the impeccable German. Calls out Birch and Lorcan and calls him a disgrace to their sacred ground. Eichner has one very large earring that I can't stop staring at. So I thought that was cute.
Sticks out in bald dudes.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Shotzi Blackheart versus large
Raquel Gonzalez.
Yeah. Very tall Sonya Deville. Raquel Gonzalez with Dakota Kai.
You're not giving enough credit to Sonya Deville. She's been killing it in SmackDown.
I understand that. But what's her name looks like a very tall version of her.
Raquel That's Gonzalez. True. She does get that comparison a lot.
Fun, energetic start. The two trading a lot of reversals. Dakota Kai tries to take Shotzi's tank apart, but Tegan Nox, for some reason, wants to get involved in this storyline too. Comes Nox
because she's her friend. She's her friend.
She knocks Dakota Kai. Kai flips out of that tank. Beth Phoenix says Gonzalez is showing shades of Harley Race with her strikes.
Okay.
That's something she said. Running senton to Raquel. Shotzi almost kills herself trying to hit a coffin drop on both.
He lands straight on her neck, dude.
Yeah.
From the second rope, and you could hear a pin drop at the Performance Center. Yeah, at the Performance Center. And then you see Tegan Nox tending to her, and it's like as if they actually witnessed an actual death, dude. It was bad. This was one of the worst bumps I've seen in recent memory in a long time.
Yeah.
And hey, she got back up, and apparently, according to her Instagram, Shotzi Blackheart's Instagram, she says, and I'll do it again and again and again. And apparently, she's fine.
She's
it was just fucking scary. It was terrifying.
Oh,
but if she's okay,
she's all right.
She can wear that bump with as a badge of honor at this point, but never do it again. That catch, I don't know who should. I haven't watched it enough, but then the way she got caught, it felt like the angle where she was about to land on Gonzalez and Kai. I think they did not anticipate the angle that she was landing towards.
Yeah.
So they kind of just raised their arms up, and as soon as they raised their arms up, the angle, it only further elevated the angle of which she landed.
Yeah.
And
flipped backwards on her neck, kind of flipped over.
It was bad.
Then out comes Candice LeRae to argue with Tegan Nox, allowing Kai to get involved in the match yet again to crotch.
A lot of people involved in this match.
To crotch Shotzi on the turnbuckle. We have a spike slam to Shotzi, the pin and the win for Raquel Gonzalez. This was a complete clusterfuck of a match.
But it was supposed to be.
I mean, a million things had to happen, I guess, for Shotzi to lose. So I don't know.
I want to protect Shotzi, I guess, but then
I don't know how this protects Shotzi. But I don't know.
They're building the feud. They're building up the feud with Candice.
Everyone's got to be protected, I guess, right?
I mean, Shotzi wasn't protected. She lost.
Well, there was a dirty fit. It wasn't a clean win. So yeah, she was protected because you could argue, oh, Dakota Kai got involved, oh, Candice LeRae distracted her, oh, this, that.
Listen, man, that of all the finishes in this show, that one's the least egregious to me. Okay.
Next up, Rhea Ripley and Io Shirai versus Charlotte and a mystery partner.
Speaking of egregious finishes.
I mentioned earlier when Io Shirai comes out, Mauro mentions rest in power to Hana Kimura. Out comes Charlotte's partner, which is Chelsea Green. Okay. Rhea Ripley and Chelsea Green start the match. Ripley runs wild on focused on Charlotte, though. So kind of Chelsea Green takes over. Green Flair isolate Io Shirai at a certain point. Charlotte eventually runs into Green in the corner, but nothing kind of comes of it at all. So I don't know why they did that. Ripley hits a scary-looking electric chair facebuster, I believe, to Chelsea Green, which looked like she landed weird on it. Io breaks up a figure four with a double knees to Charlotte. Io and Charlotte they actually looked really good working together for the split, like about 45 seconds to about a minute they had in the ring together. Just one. They looked really good, which I can't wait to see a one-on-one match with Charlotte and Io Shirai. So Tiger feint kick to Charlotte.
I mean, you had one a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, I want to see
that was also great.
Io goes for the springboard, but to Charlotte, but Green pushes Charlotte out of the way, kind of quote unquote takes the bullet for her. Io then runs Ripley, knocking her to the outside of the hockey barricade. Roll up victory with the feet on the ropes. Charlotte pins Io Shirai. So she's got to be protected, right? Can't be a clean win.
Wait, who's got to be protected?
Io Shirai.
But she got pinned.
With Charlotte, her feet on the ropes. If her feet were on the ropes.
Listen, man, if there's one person that should take the pin in this match, and you're building a triple threat match between Rhea Ripley, Io Shirai, and Charlotte Flair, the person who should be taking the pin shouldn't be either of those three people.
Right.
Like, what's the point of Chelsea Green being in this match then?
Right.
Like, do they not want Charlotte Flair to take a loss in a tag match in which she has nothing to do with it? Like, it's nonsensical. Like, this is an AEW where wins and losses, like, it's not going to be on a record or anything. Just straight up, like, it's so counterproductive when you're building up to this triple threat. It's,
And we move on with Mackenzie backstage with the Garganos and wants to know their thoughts on the Lees, Keith Lee and Mia Yim. I mean,
it was dumb. It was a parody, and none of the jokes landed. It was not funny. Is that what they said?
I would have loved if Gargano said that. They just said it was unprofessional, and they're going to fight them both at different times.
Yeah, North American title match.
And then we have the fist bump heard around the world. Matt Riddle getting ready in his war room. Kurt Angle. They just gave each other a quick fist bump.
Well, he extended his hand to shake it, and then it's like, no, bro. And he just brings out
he was like,
fist.
all right, son.
And then Kurt Angle's like, okay, I'll do that. Okay, I'll be the ref of the match now.
Kurt Angle's
Kurt Angle.
He's such a dad. Let's see. Then we have the William Regal, Adam Cole negotiations. I don't know what they're negotiating, but Cole's
contract. He's a free agent. Kind of that Adam Cole.
Cole's championship celebration was supposed to be this week, but it was put on hold by the Velveteen Dream.
No, Adam Cole. He's in his contract negotiation, fresh off inadvertently appearing in Tony Schiavone's Twitter account as when he was taking a picture with Nyla Rose. He was using that as leverage.
Yeah,
like I could be in this party and I could be here and bring the boom.
Oh, he's been seen at AEW parties before. They all.
Of course. But then no, it's funny because Tony Schiavone he deleted that tweet and cropped out Adam Cole, and then everybody in the comments is like, "Why did you crop out Adam Cole, Tony?"
Well, I mean, Adam Cole probably asked him to do it. Let's see. Adam Cole wants the Undisputed Era to have a fair shot at the tag team titles, I guess, against Imperium. Cole also wants Velveteen Dream out of his life, and he also says if he beats Velveteen Dream at In Your House, that Velveteen Dream will not have a shot at the NXT title as long as Cole is the champion. He says William Regal thinks Cole is acting like a baby, and but agrees to his negotiation. Says, "You got it. That's it for In Your House."
They're set up. This negotiations set up. Yeah, it wasn't a Zoom. It was just very much in a Zoom call. It looked exactly what our setup looks like right now.
Exactly. Then we have.
yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, what are you gonna say?
No, just go over it.
Oh, Oni Lorcan, Danny Burch video package. This is really good. But basically, they're both twins and from separate. They're brothers from different mothers. They're both bald and they like to fight, and they drink Sprite out of Guinness pint glasses.
So there was one follow-up joke with the Bay that Adam Cole said to William Regal, and is like, "I've been doing this. I've had a career like that's way even more. That's like way that it further eclipses you since you were a man's man."
Yeah.
I thought because Bay man's man.
Yeah, no.
Then William Regal's like, you scamper, you bloody scamp. War games.
War games. Like I said, Oni Larkin and Danny Burch, they're twins. They like to fight.
Leon, no, they went to a pub in the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah,
you can do that now.
This is a long time ago.
They're drinking water
because
they were sitting at a table. Did they force themselves into the restaurant like two bald Jason Statham looking motherfuckers? Like, yeah, we're gonna sit here. What are you gonna do about it?
Maybe they did.
They should have showed that. Just to show how tough they are.
Leon Ruff, fresh off his loss to Karrion Kross, is now in a match tonight against Tommaso Ciampa. I'm just hoping they have a three-way now, and Leon Ruff gets a victory over both men. Scarlett, though, follows Ciampa down to the ring. Ciampa distracted by Scarlett, and Leon Ruff says screw it and goes for the roll-up. Of course, he doesn't get the win. Ciampa beats down Ruff while staring at Scarlett because, it's hard not to. Scarlett is dressed like, I felt like, was it the Game of Thrones, Daenerys from Game of Thrones?
You're talking to the wrong person about this stuff.
Hey, well, our crowd knows, guys. You know what I'm talking about. Fairy tale ending to Leon Ruff, pin win. After the match, Cross appears on the screen. He says on June 7th.
No, he's just like this.
He says on June 7th.
Again, podcast listeners, I'm sorry, but I'm putting my face in relief.
Watch on YouTube, guys. He says on June 7th, I'm going to make you feel something you've never felt before. So I maybe love, maybe admiration. I don't know. Next week, we have Drake Maverick versus Phantasma for the interim cruiserweight title. Mia Yim versus Candice LeRae. And next week, the NXT title match and NXT women's title match will be Prime Target, whatever the fuck that means.
Oh, that's like Road 2. Prime Target's like one of their Road 2s.
Oh, okay.
Like where it's supposed to hype up the matches. They're good. Prime Target's one of the best shit. Like
I've never heard of it before.
The WWE Network, like ever. Like they did that shit for the NXT UK show, and like it sold me on that pay-per-view like the day of when they were showing that. Like fuck, I need to see Tyler Bate versus Walter, and I'm glad I did.
Then we have the main event: Timothy Thatcher, Matt Riddle, Kurt Angle as special guest referee in an NXT pit fight match.
Was it? No, I thought it was Fight Pit.
Was it Fight Pit? Oh, yeah, Fight Pit. You're
Fight
right.
Pit.
NXT Fight Pit, man.
I hope this is a regular thing. I love saying Fight Pit, and I think Timothy Thatcher is absolutely perfect for the Fight Pit.
Riddle.
I want Marvin Alla to say Fight Pit.
Riddle with a height of 6'2", 216 pounds, and a reach of 77 inches. Thatcher, 6'3", 225 pounds, a reach of 78 inches. This... Fuck.
What?
This is what UFC would look like if WWE would have bought UFC.
It's a UWFI match, dude.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
I liked it. I
loved this match.
I think it was better than just rolling around trading submissions the entire time.
It was their best. It's the best match. There's only two matches between them, but this is clearly the superior one. Matt Riddle smacks the shit out of Timothy Thatcher.
Well, it gives him a kick to the face and quote unquote knocks a couple of his teeth out, which
is a reference to a fucking UFC not a pay-per-view, like a fight night card where Glover Teixeira punched Anthony Smith on his head so hard that his teeth fell out. And that actually happened.
So
they continued that fight.
Yeah, I love
that. Just like this one.
The medical stuff. He's good to go. He's fine. Which is funny because his stature, he gets quote unquote teeth knocked out, but he was already missing a couple teeth.
Like his teeth is terrible already. Might as well just further accelerate.
Like, dude, that one is already gone. Don't
yeah.
fuck me. I just said Riddle using the cage as his advantage, escape from holds, leaping kick to Thatcher, knocking some of his teeth out. Thatcher hands teeth Angle. The ref says, or is it the medical guy says, doctor. That's what a medical guy is called. Says he's okay. Thatcher working over Riddle. When we're back from the break, the two fight on top of the cage. Corkscrew moonsault to Thatcher. Thatcher going for a rear naked choke that is relentless despite Riddle breaking out once. Then eventually Riddle passes out to the RNC the rear naked choke, and technical submission for Timothy Thatcher.
And possible write-off for Matt Riddle.
Matthew Riddle. He did the job on the way out. Good guy.
The territory within the territory.
There you go. Stole the joke.
Excellent match.
I
might as go as far as to say match of the week.
Of the week, we had Double or Nothing. This it was not match of the week.
Match of this week.
Oh, if you start the week, yeah.
No, Wednesdays. Okay, match of the night between these two shows.
There we go.
He's going. Matt Riddle's going, packing his bags to SmackDown, and which your natural conclusion would be, why not be with Paul Heyman? But then you also bring up the fact that even though he's never there, Brock Lesnar clearly doesn't want to be on the same brand as Matt Riddle, which goes to show how
Riddle's gonna get fucking buried on the main roster.
It's you got to aim low now with these sort of main roster call-ups, But then sometimes, okay, listen, Matt Riddle going to SmackDown, it's not ideal at all. But think about the physical makeup that's in SmackDown. Yes, Baron Corbin's there, and yes, that's naturally the program that he has to be
going to happen
from the get-go. And maybe
because they have history. He threw him out at the Royal Rumble.
Or he's going to have a program with Dolph Ziggler. But then you also have to consider, the people who, who else is there? Daniel Bryan, Drew Gulak, who recently re-signed that we forgot on the news, but he's.
Well, you know what? If our lovely fans follow our Instagram page at CWR415, they would have got that news right when it broke. Of
course,
I reported it on.
Cesaro is there. Sheamus is there.
Otis
Shinsuke Nakamura is there. Like it's a pretty decent pool. But in thinking about that, I automatically just assume the worst out of Matt Riddle, and everybody should, because everybody should be awesome. Everyone's awesome, and everybody should be awesome. But it's WWE, so it's not.
Everything is awesome.
No,
I can't sing another bar of that song, or else we'll get charged for it.
So Matt Riddle.
Matt Riddle, yes.
Never became NXT champion.
Probably going to he didn't really.
Probably going to be Universal champion.
We'll see.
Never say never.
We'll see.
The only thing's for sure is that nothing's for sure. But aim low.
Well, guys, I think that about does it here for us today. We had a pack show, long show.
Pack is here?
No. Guys, we'll see you next week on more B show next week. We're going to talk about AEW, of course, and NXT, just like we did this week. But it'll be
next week. We're going to say, hey, remember how dumb we sounded when we didn't think Edge and Randy Orton wasn't going to have the greatest wrestling match ever?
It's like 2 weeks. So it's like 2 or 3 weeks. Or is that this Sunday?
It's in 2 weeks.
All right, guys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe at CWR415 Facebook.
I thought it was last week.
And we'll see you guys later. Bye.